In the 1920s, Coca-Cola faced significant difficulty. Consumers viewed their product primarily as a thirst-quenching beverage in the summer, but in the winter, when the weather became colder, the number of sales typically decreased by a large amount. This also makes sense. Who comes in from the snow, feeling icy cold, and immediately desires a glass of Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola sorely needed a strategy to increase winter sales, but running more advertising wasn't going to be enough to alter consumers' opinions of the product. They wanted something that would create a deeper, more enduring association between Coke and winter in consumers' thoughts. And what is the most popular aspect of a winter Christmas? In fact, for many people, the holiday season is the happiest time of the year, a time of camaraderie and joy that Coca-Cola has always sought to connect itself with. Since Coca founding colas in the late 1800s, the company's success has been founded on one simple factor. They do not sell you on the quality or flavor of their items. Instead, they attempt to connect happiness with consuming Coca-Cola. Hence, linking Coca-Cola to Christmas would be the golden grail. So Coke pondered, what if we could integrate ourselves into this occasion? And what better way to personify Christmas than with the revered figure of Santa Claus? Now, this may seem like an obvious strategy in the present day, but recall that Coke's product has no inherent connection to Christmas. Ultimately, it is just an unhealthy carbonated beverage, and there are many other similar products. But if you question virtually everybody, which brand is best associated with Christmas, the answer would be unanimous. The bulk of individuals would likely respond with Coca-Cola. So how did Coke accomplish this? Coke attempted several Christmas advertisements in the 1920s, but their big break came in 1931 when Coca-Cola commissioned an illustrator named Haddon Sundblom to create an image of Santa Claus clutching a bottle of Coke. So you may have heard that Coca-Cola or Coke created the contemporary Santa Claus as we know him today. Offer to change the color of Santa's suit to red and white to match their business. But neither of these statements is accurate. The picture of Santa Claus, as we know him today, with his red and white outfit, white beard, and rosy cheeks predated Coca-Co's colas of him in their advertisements. In fact, the legendary Coca-Cola Santa advertising was heavily influenced by this classic 1823 poem. A Visit from St. Nicholas, or as he is more widely known, occurred the night before Christmas, describing the jolly Santa we know today and many others. Before Coca-Cola, Thomas Nast, a political cartoonist, helped popularize the jolly Santa for which we are today famous. This is an illustration from 1881, before Coca-Cola even existed, or a December 1905 cover of Puff magazine, depicting the modern Santa in a red suit. Yet, Coca-Cola deserves credit for popularizing and establishing this image of Santa Claus. As the Santa that we all know now, you can see that there were formerly many distinct forms of Santa, like Santa in a green or tan suit, or Santa as an elf on occasion, or a terrifying Claus that punished misbehaving youngsters. In contrast to today, when most people have a similar mental image of Santa, there were many distinct depictions of Santa in the past because no single person or company invented him. It evolved throughout time. In truth, the concept dates back to the folklore tales of St. Nicholas, which date to the 4th century, who was renowned for their generosity to the poor. Over time, however, aspects of characters from several countries, like the English figure of Father Christmas and the Dutch role of Sinterklaas, melded together to form the figure we know as Santa Claus. Then, this is where Coca-Cola comes in. The Coke marketing team saw a very lucky circumstance. One of the most prominent depictions of Santa wore the same colors as Coca-Cola, red and white. Thus, this is the one Coke has traditionally utilized in advertising. Unsurprisingly, they also ensured that Santa and their advertisements were always upbeat. In contrast to some of the slightly nastier Santas that were shown before Coke and Coke's aggressive advertising campaigns each year, they helped tremendously. Coke popularized this particular depiction of Santa Claus. Frequent exposure to this image through publications, Billboards and storefronts increased people's familiarity with it and solidified it as the standard Santa. It is believed that the red and white hues may have originated from the red and white bishop's robes of St. Nicholas, as Santa with a similar appearance was already popular when K's advertisements began. But Coke's tremendous promotion played a significant impact in the global spread of this particular variant and helped to establish it as the dominant one. And when you consider, this makes sense. Co-creating a whole new version of Santa in various colors would not have been nearly as effective as profiting on the already popular Santa persona and just attaching their product to him, as the goal was to capitalize on something people already knew and loved. It began in 1931 with the My Hat's Off to the Paw That Refresh campaign. The slogan said, "Santa Claus, the busiest man in the world, pauses for a Coca-Cola break." The concept was that we all need to take a break from the stress and hustle of daily life and enjoy a moment of refreshment by drinking a Coke, even if you're Santa Claus delivering all those presents. Yet that was only the beginning. Each year, Coca-Cola ran more and more advertisements starring the Santa. Coca-Cola to strengthen the connection between Coke and the holiday season. Between 1931 and 1964, the same illustrator was used annually, ensuring that Santa's appearance remained stable. It has become an annual practice to depict Santa Claus carrying or sipping Coke bottles. The best part is that Coke does not have to pay any royalties or fees to utilize the renowned character because nobody genuinely owns the rights to Santa. Obviously, they did not stop at Santa alone. They employed more uplifting winter images, such as polar bears with Cokes, and then brought the traditional Coke trucks with Christmas lights, and the advertisements were a resounding success. Not only rising in winter, Coca-Cola cell growth, but also reaching another significant goal aimed at youngsters for a large number of impressionable children. Seeing the beloved Santa figure continually surrounded by Coca-Cola produced without a doubt a strong association between the product and the joyous feelings associated with Christmas. This was vital for Coke, as their study demonstrated that if you can persuade youngsters to consume Coke from an early age, they are far more likely to become customers. In addition, you may be acquainted with the study of Pavlov's dogs. Pavlov was a Russian psychologist who conducted an experiment in which he rang a bell just before feeding a bunch of dogs. He repeated this process until the dogs salivated when the bell rang, even when there was no food around, because they had been conditioned to believe that the bell meant food. Meant food was on its way. This discovery was the origin of classical conditioning. A person may not initially have great feelings for Coca-Cola, but they have powerful, pleasant feelings for Christmas, happiness, family joy, etc. By constantly reinforcing the association between Coke and Christmas in their advertisements, just like Pavlov did with the Bellum meal, people eventually link the positive sentiments of Christmas with Coca-Cola. Now, while this was undeniably excellent work by Coke's marketing team, what went wrong? Before Coca-Cola ever considered incorporating Santa Claus in their advertisements, another beverage manufacturer had previously done so, at least 15 years prior to the initial Coke Santa advertisement. Advertisements for White Rock drinks feature a modern Santa delivering presents, which includes White Rock water. This campaign resulted in the company becoming one of the top mineral water producers in the United States by 1923, and as a result, they soon began utilizing Santa Claus to market their ginger ale as well. Coke would have undoubtedly been aware of these, and it is very probable that this influenced Coke's marketing team to implement a similar strategy. Why do people continue to perpetuate the illusion that Coke shifted to the center? The actual fact that a series of illustrators built upon each other's concepts is not nearly as remarkable. Nevertheless, Coke have been somewhat deceitful, as they claimed that Santa's jolly appearance began in 1931 with Had and Sunbloom and Coca-Cola. This is not true, as we've just seen that many similar versions existed prior to this. But Coke deserves credit for popularizing and standardizing Santa's modern appearance. Before Coke, not everyone shared the same conception of Santa Claus. He wasn't always red and cheery, And if Coke hadn't needed to boost winter sales and spent so much money to cement this Santa in the public's mind, it's likely that this image of Santa wouldn't have been so popular. Obviously, not everyone approves of Coca-Cola stealing Christmas in this manner. There have also been calls from health professionals to prohibit Coca Christmas Cola's lorry tour for causing tooth decay and obesity. Why, therefore, has Coca-Cola been so effective in associating itself with Christmas? It is difficult to imagine Christmas without Coca-Cola advertisements and graphics. I've genuinely heard individuals say, you know, it's Christmas when the Cokehead starts. Now, this is possibly one of the most important reasons why Coke Center advertisements have been so effective. That Coca-Cola has always been consistent. No major modifications to their products, logo, colors, or brand identity. They did briefly experiment with the new Coke, but it failed miserably, so they swiftly switched back. Hence, by constantly running the same advertisements year after year for the same product and brand, the link is strengthened and it becomes a tradition. In recent years, there has been a significant increase in the number of brands, such as supermarkets, that run large Christmas advertisements that attempt to be more emotionally oriented. Instead of emphasizing their items, they present a narrative. You attempt to associate their brand with Christmas, but nobody can compete with Coca-Cola. Coke has been running Christmas advertisements for nearly a century. The relationship is strongly ingrained, making it especially simple for Coca-Cola to rerun the same campaign year after year. People anticipate seeing Santa with a Coke in a Coke truck, whereas other corporations must come up with something new every year. In fact, some people become angry at Coke if they do not follow suit. The answer to the question, why does Coke spend so much money on advertising when everyone already knows about their product, is because they are not promoting to raise your awareness of their product. They are using advertising to develop associations in your brain, so that when you enter a store and see a row of different colors, you are drawn to Coke. This also helps explain the Pepsi paradox, which is the idea that more individuals like Pepsi in blind tasting tests. Yet, given the availability of options, more individuals prefer. It demonstrates that individuals feel more linked to the firm, and there is no doubt that the billions of dollars Coke has spent to incorporate their product into the holiday season have played a significant influence in this. And this is how Coca-Cola stole Christmas for its marketing campaigns, establishing one of the most potent brand connections. The craziest thing is that Coke wasn't even originally a soft drink. It began as a questionable patent drug. Go here if you want to learn the insanely detailed history of Coca-Cola. Lastly, if you are viewing this, I'd want to thank you for your support throughout the year. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel Hustle Originals and click the bell button.